Morning students. In this video we will discuss about structure of embryo sac. So in the previous video we will discuss about the development of embryo sac. In this video we will discuss about embryo sac, or embryo sac is also called female gametophyte. And this female gametophyte mainly has three parts. So what are the three parts? There are three cells present. They are called antipodal cells, and these three cells, these antipodal cells present towards chalaza. There are three cells present towards chalaza. They are called antipodal cells, and antipodal cells are also called vegetative cells. Vegetative cells of female gametophyte, because they do not take part in fertilization, and they are present towards chalaza. After fertilization, at the time of fertilization, they are degenerated. So they are called vegetative cells of female gametophyte. And this is the second part, and this is called central cell. Central cell. This is the largest cell. Central cell is this entire region is called central cell. Central cell is the largest cell. This is the largest cell of embryo sac or female gametophyte. And this central cell possesses secondary nucleus. Secondary nucleus is also called, this is also known as polar nucleus. So polar nucleus is situated in the central cell. And towards micropyle, there are three cells present. The three cells are called egg apparatus. Egg apparatus in turn has one large cell is called egg cell, and remaining two cells are called synergids. And these synergids have some special cellular thickenings, and these special cellular thickenings are called filiform apparatus. Filiform apparatus later they helps in movement of pollen tube. The movement of pollen tube is guided by finger-like projections or special cellular thickenings which are present in synergids. They are called filiform apparatus. And these two synergids are also called vegetative cell. That means this female gametophyte, the female gametophyte total has 5 vegetative cells, 3 antipodals and 2 synergids, because after fertilization they are degenerated. They do not take part in fertilization, hence they are called vegetative cells. So female gametophyte or embryo sac has how many vegetative cells? 5 vegetative cells. What are the 5 vegetative cells? 3 antipodals and 2 synergids. Synergids have finger-like projections. And this entire female gametophyte, or all cells of female gametophyte, they are haploid. So these 3 are haploid, this is haploid, but it has n plus n condition, but these 3 are also haploid, because the entire female gametophyte or embryo sac, the embryo sac develops from megaspore. So megaspore itself haploid. So megaspore itself develops into female gametophyte, so that female gametophyte also possesses only one set of chromosome. So all parts of female gametophyte, they are haploid, or they possesses only one set of chromosomes. So this is the female gametophyte or embryo sac. And this female gametophyte actually is the site. It is the site for fertilization. So there are pollen tube carries 2 male gametes. One of the male gamete fused with this egg cell. So egg cell is the ultimate female gamete. And second male gamete, other male gamete fused with secondary nucleus or polar nucleus. Actually this female gametophyte or embryo sac, the female gametophyte or embryo sac, it develops inside the ovule. You must remember that this embryo sac develops inside the ovule. Ovule where it is present? Ovule present in the ovary. Ovary is a part of stig. It is a carpel. This is the ovary, this is the style, and this is the stigma. So where pollen tube develops here, and this pollen tube carries 2 male gametes, and it moves towards this region, and one male gamete fused with one egg cell and other male gamete fused with secondary nucleus. So that this female gametophyte or embryo sac is the site for fertilization. In angiosperm, there are two non-motile male gametes. So two non-motile male gametes fused with two female pods. So that's why it is called double fertilization. So double fertilization is one of the unique nature of flowering plants or angiosperm. So these are the male and female gametophytes developments and their structures. So in the previous sections, you are all observed that both male and female gametes. Male gametes develops in pollen grains or pollen grain, and female gamete develops inside the embryo sac. So you have remembered that both are non-motile. Both male gametes and female gametes both are non-motile. So you have brought together two fertilization to occur. So how is this happened? And this can be achieved. Through a special mechanism, and that particular mechanism is known as pollination. Transfer of male gametes into female gamete by various agents or by itself or by spontaneously. The transfer of pollen grain into female gametes, that is known as pollination. So let us discuss what is pollination, what are the types, and what type of agents required in pollination. So the next one of the important topic from this chapter, that is pollination. What is pollination? So pollination, it is the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma is known as pollination. Based on the source of pollen grain, pollination is of three types. Based on the source of pollen, pollination can be categorized into three types. What are the three types? First one is autogamy, then geitonogamy, and third one is xenogamy. So based on the source of pollen grain, pollination can be autogamy, geitonogamy and xenogamy. So अब डिस्कस करेंगे ये थ्री वन बाय. So first type of pollination is autogamy. Autogamy. What is autogamy? It is achieved in the same flower. Same flower means if same flower has both androecium and gynoecium, then transfer of pollen grain. For example, this is a plant and this plant has a flower and it has male and female reproductive organ. This is androecium and this is gynoecium. Okay, and this anther produce pollen grain, and if these pollen grain spontaneously reach the stigma of same flower, then it is known as autogamy. So what is autogamy? Autogamy, it is achieved in same flower, or it is the transfer of pollen grain. The transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of same flower is known as autogamy. So autogamy, or usually it is also known as self-pollination. Autogamy is also called self-pollination. So self-pollination, what is self-pollination? Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of same flower of same plant. That is called autogamy or self-pollination. And autogamy can be achieved by some contrivances or some conditions. So what are the conditions for autogamy or self-pollination? Conditions are: autogamy is required. It is required synchronization, or it requires synchrony between release of pollen and receptivity of stigma. Then it can be possible. Otherwise, if it is bisexual flower and they can perform xenogamy or cross pollination. So for autogamy, if they can perform autogamy, then it is very important. What is the synchronization between release of pollen and receptivity of stigma by stigmatic secretions. So this is one of the controversy, and both are like both androecium gynoecium or male component and female component, they should lie close to each other. They should lie close to each other, and both androecium gynoecium they should maintain same height. They should maintain same height, and they should be matured at same time. Then only if it is bisexual flower, then they can perform autogamy or self-pollination. Otherwise, if any one character is absent, then they cannot perform autogamy even it is bisexual flower. So these are the conditions for autogamy or self-pollination. These are the conditions. But what are the chances? Chances to occur autogamy or self-pollination. So there are 3 chances. What are the 3 chances? First one is chiasmogamy. So what is chiasmogamy? If cell pollination occurs in open flowers. Open flowers are called chiasmogamous flowers. Chiasmogamous flowers. Like all flowers, both androecium and gynoecium, they exposed very well. So flower clearly it is very exposed. Then androecium and gynoecium both are exposed well. Then transfer of that is called open flower. Open flower is also called chiasmogamous flower. In chiasmogamous flower, for example, this is a flower. This is an open flower. It has both male and female. Then transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma in open flower is called chiasmogamy. It means in chiasmogamy is the one of the chance to occur autogamy. What is chiasmogamy? Autogamy in open flowers. Autogamy in open flowers is called chiasmogamy, and open flowers are called chiasmogamous flowers. So majority flowers are in angiosperms, majority flowers are open flowers. So this is the one condition, chiasmogamy. The second one is cleistogamy. So what is cleistogamy? Same. Autogamy in closed flowers. If cell pollination occurs in closed flowers, then it is known as cleistogamy. And these closed flowers are also called cleistogamous flowers. Cleistogamous flowers. Closed flowers are called cleistogamous flowers. In cleistogamy or cleistogamous flowers, usually they prevent cross pollination. They prevent cross pollination, and they always promote cell pollination because flowers are closed. If you observe flowers in some plants, they are not well exposed. They are closed, and such flowers are called closed flowers. In closed flowers, both androecium, gynoecium, they do not expose to outer environment. That means cross pollination is absent. They perform only autogamy. And cleistogamous flowers are cleistogamy, prevent cross pollination and promote autogamy. And this cleistogamy also ensures seed set even in the absence of pollinators. There is no need of pollinators because flower is closed. So closed flowers contain both androecium and gynoecium. If they mature at same time, then spontaneously autogamy can be occurred. So that's why I tell you one thing. In cleistogamy, cross pollination is absent, and always they perform autogamy. And cleistogamous flowers always ensure seed set even in the absence of pollinators. So this is the second condition. And third condition is bud pollination. Third condition is called bud pollination. So what is bud pollination? Simple. Autogamy or self pollination in bud condition. Self pollination in bud condition is called bud pollination, and it can be observed or it can be seen in rice and pea. So these are the examples. So these are the chances. Plasmogamy, cleistogamy and bud pollination are the chances to occur autogamy. So this is the first type of pollination. And second type of pollination is geitonogamy. So geitonogamy means if it is a plant and it has one flower and it has another flower. It has male reproductive and female, and it is all this flower also male and female flowers present. Male and female organs present. Flowers different, but the flowers, both flowers present on same plant. For example, transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of another flower of same plant. That is called geitonogamy. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of another flower of same plant is called geitonogamy. So geitonogamy means these two flowers they belongs to same flower, means they also possess the same genes. That's why these two flowers are called, they're genetically similar flowers. So that the geitonogamy also can be, it can also be defined as, or it is best defined as, transfer of pollen grain or pollination in genetically similar flowers. A transfer of pollen grain between genetically similar flowers is called geitonogamy. And this geitonogamy, it is functionally similar to xenogamy and genetically similar to autogamy. So genetically similar to autogamy means same within flower, or geitonogamy is another flower of same plant, and functionally similar to xenogamy because transfer of pollen grain from this flower to this flower, it required some pollinating agents. So usually agents required in xenogamy. So functionally, this is functionally similar to xenogamy, but genetically similar to autogamy. So this is the second type of pollination. It is called geitonogamy. And third one, the last type of pollination is xenogamy, or commonly this is also called cross pollination. Xenogamy is also called cross pollination. So what is cross pollination? For example, this is one plant and this is another plant, and both plants have flowers and both have both male and female reproductive organs. Different plants of same species, two different mango plants, or two different pea plants, or two different banana plants, but the transfer of pollen grain from mango to banana is not possible. That can be possible, or that can be achieved only through artificial hybridization. But naturally, different plants, they may be different plants but same species. And what is xenogamy or cross pollination? Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of another flower of another plant. Another flower of another plants, basically they are genetically dissimilar flowers. If pollination between genetically dissimilar flowers, then it is called cross pollination or xenogamy. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of another flower of another plant of same species is called xenogamy or cross pollination. But here this cross pollination requires agents, because these pollen grains are non-motile, they cannot spontaneously move to the another flower of another plant, because pollination is always chance factor. So that is why xenogamy or cross pollination requires agents. So आप डिस्कस करेंगे agents required, agents for cross pollination. So what kind of agents required? What kind of agents required for cross pollination? Agents for cross pollination, or cross pollination is also called xenogamy. Cross pollination is also called xenogamy. So majority flowering plants, they require 2 abiotic factors and 1 biotic factors. And most of the plants, most of the flowers, they used biotic agents. Then, and very small portion of plants can use abiotic factors. But there are 2 abiotic factors and 1 biotic factors required. So plants required abiotic and biotic agents. Abiotic and abiotic means non-living, biotic means living. And abiotic agents are basically 2 types. One is wind and another one is water. And biotic agents, what are generally biotic agents means? Animals. For example, if cross-pollination occurs through wind, then this is called anemophily. If cross-pollination occurs through wind, is called anemophily. If cross-pollination occurs through water, then it is called hydrophily. But among abiotic factors, this is the common. Means among the abiotic factors, most amount of the pollen grains transfer through wind. So anemophily is common, then hydrophily. And जिस फ्लावर्स में एनिमोफिली होता है उस फ्लावर्स का नाम क्या है? एनिमोफिलस फ्लावर्स. If pollination occurs through wind, then the flowers are called anemophilous flowers. अब anemophilous flowers का कुछ important characters डिस्कस करते हैं. Characteristics of anemophilous flowers. Characteristics of anemophilous flowers. First character, flowers are usually they are inconspicuous, means they are very small, and usually non-essential organs are absent. Non-essential water, non-essential organs, calyx and corolla. Calyx and corolla are usually absent because they no need to attract any other living thing. That's why usually they are absent. And pollen grains are in anemophilous flowers. Pollen grains are usually non-sticky. Because if they are non-sticky, then they can easily move through wind currents. So if wind currents is pollen grains can easily move through wind currents, that's why they should be non-sticky. And only one ovule present in the ovary. Only one ovule present in the ovary. And flowers are aggregated into inflorescence. And flowers produce large number of pollen grains. If you observe the cob of maize cob, or in tassel of maize produce large number of pollen grains. And this type of pollen grains usually it can be seen in grasses. Grasses में इस तरह pollen grains observe कर सकते. And one more important thing is feathery stigma. Stigma is feathery. The feathery stigma is also present in anemophilous flowers. If stigma is feathery, then it can easily catch the wind-borne pollen grains. So these are the important characteristics of anemophilous flowers. So anemophilous flowers means the cross-pollination or pollination through wind. The flowers which can perform pollination through wind, they are called anemophilous flowers, and these are the some important characters and example. So anemophily का जो best example है grasses. तो ये हो गया first abiotic agent, but anemophily is the common amongst abiotic factors. The second factor is, so what is the second factor? That is water. If cross pollination occurs through water, then that is called hydrophily. Hydro means water and ये pollination. Then hydrophily usually it is restricted to only 30 genera, means 30 genus, and these 30 genus they are mostly monocotyledons or monocots. Hydrophily is present or it can be seen in only 30 genera, or they are also mostly monocots. And water, generally water is required for fertilization and transfer of male gametes in case of lower plants like algae, bryophytes and pteridophytes. ये सब में मूवमेंट ऑफ मेल गेमेट्स के लिए यानी कि फर्टिलाइजेशन के लिए वाटर रिक्वायर्ड. स्पेशली bryophytes and pteridophytes, they are restricted to certain regions because they required water for fertilization and movement of gametes. And cross pollination या movement of pollen grains to water is called hydrophily. And hydrophily can be seen only 30 genera, and these 30 genera mostly monocots. But some hydrophytic plants like water hyacinth and water lily. Water hyacinth and water lily. In these two plants, cross pollination occurs through wind or insects. These two are also aquatic plants, but cross pollination occurs through wind or insects, not through water. And this hydrophily, in hydrophily again, flowers are inconspicuous. Pollen grains are covered over by mucilage. Pollen grains are covered over by mucilage because they protect the mucilage from wetting. They do not produce odor. They are not colorful. They do not produce nectaries. These two characters are common in both anemophily and hydrophily because they won't attract any other living things. And hydrophily, it is again of two types. Depending on movement of pollen grain through water, hydrophily, it is of two types. Epihydrophily and hypohydrophily. Epihydrophily and hypohydrophily. First one is epihydrophily. If transfer of pollen grain through surface water, transfer of pollen grain through surface water is called epihydrophily. If this is water body and transfer of pollen grain through surface of water, then it is called epihydrophily. And this epihydrophily, it can be seen in Vallisneria and Hydrilla. Vallisneria and Hydrilla. In Vallisneria and Hydrilla, in NCERT book there is a diagram like this, and this is water, and this is a female and this is a male gametes. And in Vallisneria and Hydrilla, female flowers there is the surface water. This is the surface water, and female flowers there is the surface water by its long stalk. So female flowers have a long stalk, and with the help of long stalk they can reach the surface water, and pollen grains released on it. And when pollen grains released on water, and they can passively move through water currents and eventually reach the female flower, then fertilization to occur. So this is epihydrophily. And second one is hypohydrophily. So what is hypohydrophily? If transfer of pollen grain occur through below the surface water, it occurs through below the surface water, then it is known as hypohydrophily, and it can be seen in Zostera. It can be seen in Zostera, or normally it is called seagrass. Commonly it is known as Zostera is known as seagrass. In seagrass or Zostera, female flowers remain below the surface water, and pollen grains are their long ribbon like. They are long ribbon like pollen grains, and they also move passively through water currents and eventually reach the female parent. So again, hydrophily can be divided into epihydrophily and hypohydrophily. Vallisneria hydrilla and Zoster. So this is hydrophily, and these are the two different types of abiotic agents. So next, biotic agents also, because majority plants use biotic agents as pollinators. Biotic agents means animals. If cross pollination occurs through animals, then it is called zoophily. And many animals helps in pollination. Small animals like beetles and wasp, bees. So and majority insects, and insects may be bees. So bees are the common agents amongst biotic agents. And depending on type of, generally हमको लगता है कि smaller animals pollination में help करे, but there are some larger animals also. Larger animals like primates में lemur and some arboreal rodents, and even reptiles like gecko lizard and garden lizards. They also helps in movement of pollen grain from anther to stigma. And depending on type of animal, zoophily can be divided into various types. Like insects, if cross pollination occurs through insects, then zoophily is called entomophily. Or it can be occurs through birds, then it is called ornithophily. Or it can occur through bats, then it is called chiropterophily. Or it can occur through snails, then it is called melicophily. So depending on type of animal, zoophily again entomophily, ornithophily, chiropterophily and melicophily. But इसमें से entomophily is the common. It is the common amongst biotic agents. And जिसमें entomophily होता है, इस flowers का नाम क्या है? Entomophilous flowers. और entomophilous flowers का भी कुछ important characters discuss करें. So characteristics of entomophilous flowers. First character, generally flowers are conspicuous, is they are larger in size, and non-essential organs. Usually non-essential organs are brightly colored, because like calyx and corolla, mainly petals, they are brightly colored because they attract various insects. If flowers are small, then they aggregated into inflorescence. And make the flowers conspicuous. And they produce odor to attract insects, and they also gives nectaries, and they also provides pollens as rewards. And some plants also release fall odor to attract insects. And here in this flowers, it's in entomophilous flowers, there are also some floral rewards. So floral rewards generally pollens, nectaries, ये सब तो floral rewards है. And safe place, some also produce safe place to lay eggs lay करने के लिए some safe place भी provide करे. इसके लिए एक एग्जाम्पल है, देखो एक एग्जाम्पल अमॉर्फोफलस फ्लावर का जो फ्लावर है ना, इट इज 6 feet हाइट एंड इट प्रोवाइड सेफ प्लेस टू ले एग्स. और एक देयर इज वन मोर रिलेशनशिप एग्जिस्ट बिटवीन लाइक दिस वन, एक मॉथ एंड युक्का एक मोनोकॉट प्लांट है. दोनों के बीच में both organisms they cannot complete their life without each. इस पे क्या है ना, ये जो मॉथ है अपना जो एग्स रिलीज करेगा लॉक्यूल ऑफ द ओवरी। ओवरी के इनसाइड में जो रूम्स है इसका नाम है लॉक्यूल्स। लॉक्यूल्स ऑफ युक्का का अंदर ये एग्स ले करेगा और ये एग्स जब मेच्योर करके एच आउट मतलब ये हैचिंग जब करेगा, इसका जब सीड्स जब डेवलपिंग स्टार्ट करेगा तो एग्स भी स्टार्ट हो जाएगा, मतलब एग्स का डेवलपमेंट भी हो जाएगा और इसका पॉलिनेशन हो रहा है, इसका एग्स ले करने के लिए प्लेस मिले। इसको बोलते हैं फ्लोरल रिवॉर्ड्स। बट देर आर सम ऑर्गेनिजम्स, इसको बोलते हैं पोलन चीटर्स। वो पोलन गन्स लेके जाएगा, खा लेगा, फिर उसका लेके नहीं जाएगा। ऐसे देर आर सम फ्लोरल रिवॉर्ड्स इन एंटिमोफिलस फ्लावर्स। So this is abiotic factor. So these are the agents required for cross pollination. So overall, this is the topic of pollination. In the next video, we will discuss about pollen pistil interaction and what is double fertilization and post fertilization events.